Welcome to Project U 2.2, where my goal is to help you break barriers and step confidently into an elevated version of yourself. This podcast dives into mindset, growth, and creating the life you were meant to live. I'm Carrie, a former teacher turned leadership and growth mentor, helping people overcome self-doubt and embrace their next chapter. I believe you are your greatest project. Each week, we'll explore the habits, stories, and strategies that help you break barriers, step into your potential, and level up your life. So let's get started. What if I told you that 5 years from now, you are either going to thank yourself or wish you had started today? Your future self is out there waiting. She's stronger, she's freer, she's more at peace. But she can only exist if the you sitting here right now decides to listen. To stop putting off the small whispers inside saying, I want more. Welcome back to Project U 2.2, where we explore the real and raw work of growing into who you are meant to be. I'm your host, Carrie, and today we're talking about your future self and how she's counting on you right now. In this space, we talk about growth, courage, and learning to trust yourself as you move into new chapters of your life. Something has been sitting with me lately. The idea that our future selves are already waiting for us. They're out there, living the life we're dreaming about, walking confidently in shoes we haven't quite grown into. Notice I said shoes and not pants or a dress. Who wants to think about growing into a bigger size of clothing? But they need us. The us that exists right now, they need us to make the small, brave decisions to get them there. Sometimes when I think about my future self, I think about the version of me that used to be scared to dream bigger. I think about the woman who stayed busy taking care of everyone else, her students, her kids, her family, and didn't always stop to ask, what do I really want? I also think about my younger self, the one who made decisions that I now thank her for. She's the one who went to college at 17, who pushed herself into a teaching career at 21, who decided that 3 kids would be fun, even if 2 seemed hard, who chose to get healthy even after several failed attempts, who said yes to opportunities even when they scared her. She's the one who made sacrifices that allowed me to be standing here today, doing what I love, helping people transform their own lives and living a life of joy. And I have to ask myself, am I doing the same for my future self as my former self did for me? Am I showing up for her in the way my past self showed up for me? Our future self is counting on us. She's counting on us to make that appointment, to say yes to that dream, to finally stop waiting for the right time. Most of us live with a quiet voice inside, a nudge that says, you should start walking more. You should create a morning routine. You know this isn't where you want to stay, whether it's a job or your weight or a relationship or the lack of one. And most of the time we push it aside. We tell ourselves that we'll start Monday or next month or when life slows down. Life doesn't slow down. And that small voice, it's not going to shout, it's not going to beg, it's just going to wait patiently until you're ready to listen. Every time we ignore it, we're not just delaying action, we are delaying the version of ourselves that we're meant to become. Think about the version of you 1 year from now. What will she thank you for? Maybe she'll thank you for walking 3 days a week, or for putting down the phone and reading more. Maybe she'll thank you for finally signing up for that class, leaving that job, or hiring that coach. The choices we make today are small, but they compound. One small decision, repeated, becomes a habit. A habit becomes a lifestyle, and that lifestyle becomes your identity. Before you know it, your future self isn't some faraway dream. She's you, living it. I don't ever want to be the woman sitting in a nursing home one day looking out the window and saying, I wish I had. I don't want to be the girl who's living with regrets, wishing I'd said yes to that dream, that trip, that opportunity, that chance to grow. Because when we don't say yes to life now, we end up wishing we had later. When I was in high school, I wanted to be the drum major of our marching band. Just auditioning was scary. To think about leading the whole band and directing them at football games on Friday nights was scary. But when I auditioned and I made it, I was so excited. I had won. Until I found out that there was more to it, just like most things in life. I found out I had to go out of state to drum major camp alone. With hundreds of other drum majors from all over the Midwest, it was terrifying. I was only 15 and I had no idea what I was doing. My mom had to show up with courage, too. She drove me out of state in a car she wasn't even sure would make it, with nothing but a paper map to guide us, no GPS, no cell phones, just trust and determination. When we arrived, I was surrounded by strangers. Most schools had 2, 3, or even 4 drum majors. Many had been there before it wasn't their first year. I was the only one from my school. Our band only had 1 drum major position, and this was my first year. I was scared and completely out of my comfort zone. The first night I remember standing in the shower, crying silent tears, wondering how I'd find the strength to do it all again tomorrow. And then, just as I was finding my footing, they announced a talent show for the next day. Everyone had to perform. I didn't have any talents. I couldn't think of anything, and I just wanted to disappear. I panicked. I didn't have a talent ready. I barely had confidence to stand in front of people. But my cabin mates, these girls I just met, came together and suggested we sing a song. We chose The Rose by Bette Midler. I still remember standing on that stage, heart pounding, singing those words about how it's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance. And the song goes on to say, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. At 15, I didn't fully understand those lyrics, but looking back now, I realize they were about exactly what I was living through. Courage, risk, and blooming even when you're scared. That moment was a turning point. I survived the fear. I did the thing I thought I couldn't do. And every Friday night after that, when I stood on the football field leading our marching band, I still felt the nerves. But I also felt stronger. Each time I showed up, it got easier. My future self is so thankful that I pushed through that fear because that experience became the foundation for every courageous step I have taken since. That experience gave me my first real taste of leadership, courage, and resilience. It taught me what it feels like to show up scared and do it anyway. And all these years later, my future self is so thankful that 15-year-old me showed up with courage. That same courage showed up again this past summer when I went on a retreat to Greece and Italy with 7 strangers. Different decade, same lesson. Your future self needs you to push through discomfort, to grow, to keep saying yes, even when you don't have all the answers. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from choosing courage over and over again. This middle space, the in between of where you are and where you want to be, it is not easy. It is where fear lives. It's where excuses show up. It's where we wonder if we're capable of more. But it's also where your future self starts to form. Every small action you take builds self-trust. Every time you push through, you're saying, you can count on me. You can't think your way into becoming her. You have to act your way there. Take a minute. Imagine your future self. Where are you? What does your life look like? What does your day feel like? Maybe you're sitting in a cozy chair with a blanket. I love soft blankets. A cup of coffee, and peace in your heart because you finally let go of guilt and comparison. Maybe you're traveling, writing, creating, coaching, simply living with more confidence and purpose. Now imagine that she's speaking to you today, right now. What would she say? Would she thank you for taking that small step forward? Would she thank you for saying yes and taking care of yourself? Would she tell you that she's proud that you didn't give up when things got hard? Or would she be whispering, please don't forget about me? That's the part we often miss. We think we're too busy to make changes. But every time we ignore those whispers, we're putting off the version of us that's waiting to shine. When I was teaching full-time, I used to come home exhausted, but fulfilled. I loved my students. But there was this quiet nudge in the back of my mind saying, maybe there's more. Maybe there's something more. I didn't know what that meant, but my future self did. She knew I wasn't meant to stop growing when that classroom door closed. And that's what led me to health coaching, to sharing my story online, and eventually to creating this podcast and becoming a life coach. I didn't have a roadmap. I had a whisper. Those whispers are how your future self communicates with you. They're the nudges that say, start walking again. Send that message. Apply for that program. Don't cancel that dream. You don't need to be perfect, just begin. Take that class, go on that vacation, sign up for that retreat, say yes to that speech. Take something on that sounds fun, even if you think you're too busy. Go on that date. Even if putting yourself back into the dating world gives you anxiety. Every time you listen to that whisper, you build a bridge toward the woman you are becoming. When I look back on the biggest turning points in my life, losing weight, retiring after 31 years of teaching, going to Greece, starting my business, they all began with one decision. I didn't want to let my future self down. I remember thinking, what would 60-year-old Carrie say if I didn't start now? Would she be proud that I played it safe? Or would she wish I'd listened to my gut? The older I get, the more I realize our future self is not judging us. She is cheering for us. You know that she is in there saying, sister, you've got this. She already knows what's possible. She's whispering, come on. You've got this. I'm waiting for you. People don't talk about this enough. The middle ground, the messy, unglamorous, uncomfortable space between where you are and where you want to be. This is where most people quit. They get tired. They don't see progress or they don't see it fast enough. They start to question why they started or they think it's too hard. But this is where your future self starts to form every time you show up, even when it's hard. You're proving to her that she can count on you. That's what builds self-trust. That's what builds confidence. And that's what builds transformation. You can't think your way into becoming her. You have to act your way there. Here's something I teach my coaching clients. When you're making a decision, ask your future self. Ask her, what would she want me to do? Would she thank me for this? Would this bring me closer to her or farther away? This changes everything. Your future self doesn't need you to have all the answers. She needs you to trust that small steps matter. Think about it. Your future self will thank you for the water you drank today, for the walk you took even when you didn't feel like it, and for the boundaries you set, for the time you spent on what matters. She'll thank you for saying no when it meant saying yes to peace. She'll thank you for every small act of courage you took when nobody was watching. But maybe you're listening right now and thinking, I've waited too long. I promise you, you haven't. You are right on time. Your future self doesn't care how old you are or how many times you've started over. She only cares that you start and start again. Start now. She is standing out there, arms crossed, smiling, saying, come on, I've been waiting for you. So what's one thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's scheduling that doctor's appointment, taking a walk, journaling, signing up for the course, saying yes to a nice guy that's been asking you out, or finally saying yes to some coaching. Your future self is counting on you, and she is not asking for perfection. She's asking for progress. She is asking you to listen when that whisper shows up. So today, I want you to write a letter to her. Write to your future self 1 year from now and tell her what you're doing today to make her proud. Tell her what you're releasing. Tell her what you're choosing. And then keep that letter somewhere visible, because the next time you doubt yourself, you'll remember you are not doing this alone. You are doing it with her and for her. And if this episode resonated with you, if you felt that whisper, I want you to know I would love to help you listen to it more deeply. You can schedule a coaching session with me at projectu22.org. And let's start building the bridge between where you are and where your future self is waiting. She is out there, confident, peaceful, joyful, and she is cheering for you every step of the way. Remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next right step. Your future self is counting on you. Are you listening?